guys, 3 new arcade machines. Now my wife is not too happy with me purchasing another 3 machines, but these are a little bit different. As you can see, these are these are Taito machines, original Japanese machines that I managed to get, and they are the trimline range. As far as I know, the closest I've managed to find on the net are what they call trimline machines. So they're very, very small. So it won't take up too much space in my games rooms, which is what I really enjoy about them. You can see here at the back, the wood is in poor condition. These are original Taito machines. There's the serial numbers on the back there, which is great. I like to get the original stuff. You know, most of the arcade machines in my area are just your generic fun machines, your generic cabs and so forth. So these have still got the original serial numbers on them. And you can see there by the condition of them, the insides of them really dirty. Yeah, you got 30 plus years worth of dirt and grime and so forth that I'm going to have to clean out of these machines. Now, actually 3 games, all 3 are working. It's 2 Pac-Mans and 1 Amidar machine. Now, one of the machines has actually got the artwork for a Galaxian, so I'm actually going to try and restore one of them to a Galaxian machine. You can see there's a Galaxian bezel and the Galaxian controls in that. You can see the controls are actually recessed, which is great. It takes up less space. The trimline machines I've seen on the net don't have that. There you can see the Galaxian artwork and the recessed controls for them. So yeah, I'd like to get one back up to Galaxian. The Amidar, restore that to original Amidar, and then the other keep as a Pac-Man. But really, I mean, you can see these machines have not, I'd love to know how many games have been played on them. Okay, this is the machine that I'm going to restore first. I've taken the worst one, the one that's in the worst condition, and I want to try it first. So it's a learning process. So I'm going to learn from this so that at the end of the day I can get the other 2 machines up to even better condition. You can see it is really poor. I mean, the wood is just flaking off. It's so old. Every time I move it, pieces fall and break off it. But I'm going to remove what I can, and I'm going to replace what I can on it. You can see here it's still got the original serial numbers on the actual wood, and this yellow covering is sort of like a fiberglass covering that's on it that I'm going to have to sand off it. So the first step is obviously to start taking it apart. There I've opened up the back of the machine, and you can see there is just huge amounts of dirt in there. I'm going to wash. New joystick installed in 1998. One of the other machines actually has a little sign in there that says new monitor 1995. And yeah, so you know, installed. There we are. I've now taken out all the bits and pieces, all the loose material. I've taken out the boards out, keyboards out, all the wirings out. I've just got the loose cabinet now. I'm going to take off the plastic trim that actually slots in there. Ah, damn it, I went and broke a piece off. Now even the perspex is old. Now I've sped this up so that not to take up too much time, and I'm actually cleaning and washing the motherboard. Just some Sunlight soap out in the open, and it shouldn't do any damage to the machine. All my computers and that, the boards, I go and I give them a good soaking, scrubbing with Sunlight soap, so that I can get rid of all that electrolyte that escapes from the capacitors, and then just let it dry for a week or 2, and it shouldn't short. There shouldn't be any problems from that. And you know, be liberal. I wash it probably about 2-3 times so that I can get all that years and years of gunk that has actually now built up on the actual motherboard. Because I mean, you know, you need to clean it off. It's going to just extend the life of the board, and also allows you to see where there are tracks that have eroded or any of the parts that need to be replaced. Yeah, I've got the cabinet. I'm starting the actual sanding process, and this is a really dirty part of the work, and you know, there's a lot of fiberglass that's involved, and luckily I've got a swimming pool, so after this I just jump in the swimming pool, wash the fiberglass out, get back out again, put the old t-shirt on again, and just carry on sanding. So I'm trying to get it down to a state where I can start filling it with I've tried epoxy, but yeah, you can see I've just used some wood filling, and now I'm just sanding off some of the wood filling to try to get it square, fill it up again, repeat process, fill it up again, repeat, and just try to build it up to try to get it to a flat flat that I can now paint at a later stage. And fortunately this is a very light cabinet. I'm trying not to make too much mess, because this is the entertainment area for my wife, and she gives me hell if I make too much mess. So it's important for me to clean up afterwards. I have used some epoxy on it. I didn't find the epoxy work so well. The wood fill, it sort of worked, but it's still not. The next time I'm going to use some, what the panel beaters use on the car, some body putty. I'm going to try that with one of the next machines, because maybe it sets better. This didn't give me the finish that I wanted to. It gave an alright finish, but you'll see later it's not perfect. But you know, you just have to keep filling in, keep sanding, keep filling in, keep sanding, and on you keep going. Just cleaning off some of the face. Now a lot of the wood panels are going to be hidden up by vinyl at a later stage. So there you can see I'm just giving it another. I've already sanded that. I've put more epoxy on and more wood fill, and I'm sanding it off again. And you've got to just keep rinse and repeat continuously until you get that nice smooth finish, or as close as you can get to a nice smooth finish. I may use, I'm not sure at this stage whether I'm going to use full vinyl side art, but I'll see. Maybe I'll start off with trying smaller pieces of vinyl side art and see how that goes, and then if that doesn't work too well, I'll use full vinyl side art. Yeah, I'm using some more wood filler. I've decided now I'm actually going to spray it black, matte black, to give a good finish, so that I can then attach my vinyl art to. So I've just got some black wood filler, and I'm trying to build up some more bits and pieces where there's some more cracks in that, and I'll sand it down again. Yeah, I'm trying epoxy again. First attempt of the epoxy didn't work so well. I found the epoxy, I don't know, it's, you know, I did see on some of the guys' sites epoxy is what they use. It didn't work for me. I actually preferred the wood filler. Gave a better finish, easier to work with, and that's why I say next time I'm actually going to try the body putty. But you know, that's why, you know, you learn as you go. With my next cabinets, you know, I'll try something different. Now let's start the paint. First of all, the primer. I'm using Rust-Oleum or whatever it's called, primer on here. It's a little bit windy at the moment, but you know, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm just not going to breathe in the fumes, so hopefully try not to breathe in too much of the fumes. But it's always windy here in East London. So I'm putting down a wood primer, or a generic primer, so that I can then spray the enamel paint on afterwards. And yeah, it's starting to take shape. And I'm going to give it 2 coats of primer. I'm probably not going to show you all of it, but I'll do a couple of coats of primer and then put on the enamel paint afterwards. Some guys use, they roll on the paint. I prefer the spraying on. Next time maybe I'll try the roll on and see what sort of finish, especially if I'm going to use full vinyl side art. There, I'm now using the Rust-Oleum flat enamel, just flat black enamel paint, and I'll give it a couple of coats of this. It actually uses a lot more paint than I thought, so it actually works out quite expensive to do it this way. It's actually going to be a lot cheaper if I actually just use full vinyl side art. So there's another learning when it comes to, and it's not looking too bad. Yeah, you can see I've let it dry out a little bit. There are bits and pieces I'm not happy with, because every time I move the machine, something breaks or something flakes off. So yeah, you can see there's a little bit, you know, I've tried sanding it, I've tried filling it, I've sanded it again. So I've just left it now, and I'm going to now just cover it with some vinyl art. But it's not looking too bad. The black actually looks alright, and from what I've seen on the net, seeing that this is going to be my Galaxian machine, you know, a lot of it is black with the vinyl art on the sides. So it shouldn't look too bad. But it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm not happy with that section. I'm going to try sand it down again and repaint it again and see if it gets any better. Time for the vinyl side art. I've decided not on using full vinyl side arts. I've just gone for the smaller vinyl side art that I managed to download off the net, and I'm going to try that first. It's not expensive, getting the vinyl side art printed, so you know, I can mess around with it, I can try it, and if it doesn't work I can just print it again and try something else. So this is a first stab at it on the machine. The important thing is to try, and you can see I'm putting a little bit of water on there so I can get the bubbles out easily. I'm just using a plastic ruler so that I can actually push out any sort of bubbles, and putting a little bit of water in the background, on the actual wood, helps and assists with that. Now I'm going to be taking off the backing there, and again from the opposite angle I'm just putting a little bit of water on there, not too much, otherwise it leaves a water stain on the wood, but just to assist in getting the bubbles out as I press it down, and it just seems to stick a little bit better as well. So just pushing a little bit down, getting it out, and almost there. And every now and then you've got to come back to it as it's drying and just make sure that the vinyl is sticking 100%. And then just, unfortunately, I didn't see any bubbles in it, and I'm just going to rub it down and just make sure that there isn't any. And it seems to have taken quite nicely to the wood. Even at this stage, I think full vinyl side art would be better, but it's part of the learning process. Once again, put primer on. This is the metal faceplate and the cash box and some of the other metal trimmings that need to be enameled, sprayed so they don't rust again. So just giving it a primer, and then I'm going to give it a flat black afterwards. And it's starting to look a lot better. Also giving it 1 or 2 coats and just letting it dry in between so that it gets a nice hard finish. It's just going to make life much easier at a later stage. Okay guys, the first part of the restoration is now complete. You can see I've put most of the bits and pieces back, and it's not looking too bad. Although this is a Pac-Man machine, I'm getting it prepped and ready for a Galaxian board that I'm after. So let's just have a look what I'm happy with and what I'm not happy with. Still got quite a bit of work to do on the actual cab itself. As you can see, there is still bits and pieces that didn't come out nicely. So I'm actually thinking of going full vinyl sides art and not just the single little piece of Galaxian art that I've got there. That will then hide a lot of those blemishes, because I tried and this wood is so old, 30 plus years old, that every time I sand it, other pieces just keep coming out. As you can see here, I'd cover it up, and once I start sanding it, it actually just keep breaking away. That is how old the wood is. So I think a full vinyl cover would be far better. I'm going to try and get and replace these plastic strips here. Unfortunately, our local suppliers here only have black, and I like this original coloring of the Taito cabinets. I've kept the original Galaxian bezel art. I have had others printed, but I still like this, the actual original bezel art that came out with. You can see the Japanese instructions and the Galaxian figurine and so forth over there, and then the actual marquee. Unfortunately, I did break it when I took it off, but these things are so old and so brittle that it just cracks and breaks for anything. I've got the original Galaxian faceplate that I can actually swap and change once I've got the board, but I've left this one on. This is the Pac-Man board, and I'll change that once I actually get the motherboard. It'll actually look better then. The front, I haven't bothered too much with repainting over those marks over there, because I'm actually going to put artwork around that, and that'll cover. Another learning for me is I'm going to get stainless steel. All these bolts I'm going to replace with stainless steel, because they're just going to rust again and look terrible. Let's just move around to this side. Over there. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. I think it actually came out alright, considering one of my first efforts. As you can see here, it's pretty badly damaged, this plastic that's around there. So I'm going to try and replace that with original stuff if I can get. The problem is that nowhere on the net have I managed to find a similar Taito machine. As mentioned earlier, this has got the, from what I can see, so a very generic faceplate on the controls. Doesn't really say any game or give an indication of a game. So I'm going to change that once I get the Galaxian PCB, and I'm going to put the other controls on from the other machine. And I like these. I like the little spaceships and everything. I don't know, I'll take it the Japanese writing on there. It's 1 player, 2 player, joystick, fire buttons and so forth, but I like that sort of look to it. And you know, I think that will look better. And you can see here the differences now. If you look at the other trimline machines, Taito machines that I've seen on the net, none of them, their controls sort of extend from the screen itself, you know, in a straight line, straight. They're not recessed like this. Nowhere have I been able to find on the net any Taito or original Taito machines that are got their controls sort of under a hood, which I actually quite like. It's not uncomfortable to play. I have played a few games on the machine before I took it apart, and it's actually quite fun to play like that. It takes up so much less space. You can see there a little bit of the vinyl coming off, so it's not sticking nicely like the way I'd like it to. So, but you know, I'm sure we change it and put full vinyl on the sides. I think that's going to be a better solution. But I mean, that's all part of the process, is actually testing, learning, and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So I think, guys, it's time to actually switch it on, and let's see whether it blows up. Hopefully it doesn't, or whether it's working. Let me get the power. Well, guys, it comes to the moment of truth. Hopefully nothing goes up in a cloud of smoke. This has happened to me a few times before with my old computers. Plug it in and woof. So yeah, I've washed the motherboard, I've washed everything, spilled coffee on the transformer and everything, but hopefully everything's dried out. And let's plug it in. There's only one way to do it. So 1, 2, 3, and okay, well, it's making a few noises. And I see Pac-Man on the screen. I don't know if you can see it from there, but I'll move the camera closer. I mean, the lighting's not ideal. Let me just put a few coins in. Make sure that that's working. Oh, that sounds familiar. Put two of those in. And one thing I must say, this is a Pac-Man that I've never seen before either. So you'll see now. Something, I've got my controls mixed up. Okay, so give me a moment while I just check the controls. Okay guys, I found the fault, just a loose ground wire on the controls, but I thought before I actually switch it back on again and show you the actual game, I just wanted to show you the actual size of this machine. You don't really gauge its scale correctly when you're looking at just the machine. Now you can see in the background I've got the other two machines. I've actually, if you have a look there at the bottom, I've actually taken away some of the supports that somebody added on at a later stage. I take it these machines were designed for you to sit down in front of them on a bench so that you can actually play with them. And somebody actually, if you look at the one in the back there, somebody actually extended it. It's just added on boards to actually lift the machine up higher. So I've put it into my games room, or together with my Neo Geo machine, and now you'll be able to actually gauge its size. Let's see if I can actually move a little bit further back in comparison to my Neo Geo cab. I mean, have a look at that, guys. Look how small that is. I actually have to move out of the room a little bit further for you to get a decent. So compare that cab. Look at the height, look at the difference, look at the size of it in comparison to the Neo Geo. Now you can appreciate the actual size of it, and this is actually one of the reasons why I mentioned earlier I actually bought 3 of these machines, I mean at a really good price, so that I can restore them, and also because I've never seen them on the net, and you know, they're original Japanese machines, so that's a little bit of history. So yeah, let me switch it on and show you the Pac-Man game. Okay, that's better. Now you can actually see it. I've darkened the room a little bit, and it's actually Super Pac-Gal. Now what I found amazing with this is that, well, I don't know, I've just never seen it before, where if you look on the side of the actual screen, there's no entrances and exits. to the actual maze. Super Pac-Gal. So if anybody knows anything about this game, let me know. Let me just put some coins in. And it plays very, very fast. I take it this is settings that I can actually change maybe on the dip settings. But I mean, the maze just is so different. Or maybe because it's Super Pac-Gal, I suppose. Ah, something came in this, but if I can't go right. So maybe this is a ROM hack. Or somebody has done something to it, but it's playing. So if anybody has any knowledge of this version of Super Pac-Gal, let me know, because it looks different. Well guys, that's the first stage of this refurb done. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll soon be starting with the other two machines that I've got in the back there. One is an Amador, another one is another Pac-Man, or Pac-Gal, but a different version of it. It actually has Bart Simpson characters, which I found very strange. And as I said, I'm going to try to get hold of the Galaxian motherboard for this machine so I can restore it back to what it actually was. Okay guys, cheers from me.